Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor. Now, Vijay Mallya's resignation from Rajya Sabha has been rejected. The panel has recommended expulsion. That is the big focus that we'll be looking at. Also in the top international news, we'll get you all the results from Indiana primaries, even as Ted Cruz has bowed out of the US presidential race. All the details to follow. Let us begin with the headlines. Rajya Sabha Chairman Mohammad Hamid Ansari rejects Vijay Mallya's resignation. Rajya Sabha Secretary General writes to Mallya that his letter does not conform to the prescribed procedure. Short duration discussion in the Rajya Sabha on the gustaWestland case. The Congress President Sonia Gandhi holds strategy meet with party leaders. UN court says Italy will have to return marine if India's jurisdiction in the case is proved. This as government clarifies in Lok Sabha that India's position in the case has not weakened. Amidst the scorching heat, some respite. Rains in parts of Rajasthan, Bengal, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. And it is all but a clear road for Donald Trump's Republican nomination. Ted Cruz drops out of the race after humiliating defeat in Indiana. Our top focus, Rajya Sabha Chairman Mohammad Hamid Ansari has not accepted the resignation of Vijay Mallya. Now, Secretary General of Rajya Sabha, Shamsher Sharif, has written to Mallya that his resignation letter does not conform to the prescribed procedure and it did not bear the signature in the original. Now, according to the Rule 213 of the procedures, resignations of members should be voluntary and genuine. Now, earlier, the Ethics Committee of the Rajya Sabha discussed matters relating to Mallya. Committee Chairman Karan Singh confirmed that the members had reached a unanimous decision. He further added that Rajya Sabha will be informed of the decision today.
We met today, the Ethics Committee, as scheduled. It would not be appropriate for me to reveal what transpired in the committee because that is supposed to be confidential until it is placed before the House. But I can say this much, that we did take a decision unanimously, and tomorrow I am hopeful that I will be able to present the report to the House along with the resolution.
More news from Rajya Sabha, and there will be a short duration discussion today on the allegations of bribery and corruption in the gustaWestland chopper deal. Subramaniam Swamy, Bhupendra Yadav, Prabhat Jha will be among those who will raise the matter for discussion. Well, ahead of the slated discussion, Congress President Sonia Gandhi held a strategy meeting with senior party leaders on Thursday evening. BJP leader Subramaniam Swamy had dragged Sonia Gandhi's name on the matter in the upper house last week. Now, party leaders are of the view that while they are willing for a debate on all aspects of the matter, they are not willing to accept defaming of their party leadership by the BJP. In the Lok Sabha as well, the Congress has given notices for a short duration discussion on the issue, as also for a calling attention notice. Now, the party's strategy is to attack the centre over the Italian Marines case, accusing it of entering an agreement with Italy over the Augusta case to cover up for its weak defence in the Italian Marines case.
ये चीज़ें वो लोग हमेशा करते आए हैं और भी करते रहेंगे। उनकी मंशा यही है कि किसी हालत में गांधी फैमिली को, कांग्रेस पार्टी को डिफेम करना, अगर ये डिफेम हो गए तो पार्टी इनकी खत्म हो जाएंगी, या ऐसा उनका सोच है। लेकिन गांधी फैमिली को कोई खत्म नहीं कर सकता और ऐसे कितने भी बीजेपी के नेता लोग बात करने दो, कुछ होने वाला नहीं है।
कांग्रेस की सरकार थी, डील की गई, डील के सारे टर्म्स बदले जा रहे थे। रक्षा मंत्री ने भी जो अपनी कही बात थी डिफेंस के फाइल पे जो नोट किया था, ऐसा प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंसेस में कहा गया है, मीडिया में आया कि भारत के अंदर में ट्रायल नहीं होना चाहिए, इंग्लैंड में हो जाए। हेलीकॉप्टर को भारत में उड़ना है, ट्रायल इंग्लैंड में हो रहा है। तो ये सारे गंभीर प्रश्न है और इस सब में जो इन्वॉल्व थे डिसीजन मेकिंग में, उनके ऊपर में तो प्रश्न उठेंगे और उन्हीं से शायद पता पड़ जाएगा कि किनके कहने पे ये सारे डील्स हो रहे थे।
And in more news on the Augusta-Westland chopper deal, and the CBI questioned a former IAF chief SP Tyagi for the second day in a row on Tuesday in connection with the controversial 3,600 crore rupees chopper deal. Now, the agency has filed a case against Tyagi along with 13 others, including his cousins and some European middlemen as well. Now, this comes after Milan Court of Appeals in Italy concluded that bribes were paid to clinch the deal.
Another round of questioning in the 3,600 crore Augusta-Westland chopper scam. For the second day, former Indian Air Force Chief SP Tyagi answered the CBI's queries on his alleged links with middlemen, his trips to Italy and the reasons behind changing specifications.
अगस्ता की छानबीन के ऊपर कई चीज़ें उठ रही हैं, कई पेपर्स आए हैं, कई लोगों ने उसके ऊपर बोला है। क्रीड जी ने कल कुछ उसके ऊपर पेपर दिए हैं। छानबीन होने दीजिए, जो गलत होगा वो गलत होगा। देखिए, मैं ना तो किसी का नाम लूंगा, निष्पक्ष छानबीन होनी चाहिए, जो गलत हैं उनको सजा मिलनी चाहिए।
The ruling BJP meanwhile continued its attempts to drag the Gandhis into the deal. Party MP Kirit Somaiya reportedly wrote to the Enforcement Directorate and the CBI asking them to check Rahul Gandhi's link of a political aid with the middleman Guido Hashke in the deal.
उनकी मंशा यही है कि किसी हालत में गांधी फैमिली को, कांग्रेस पार्टी को डिफेम करना, लेकिन गांधी फैमिली को कोई खत्म नहीं कर सकता। और ऐसे कितने भी बीजेपी के नेता लोग बात करने दो, कुछ होने वाला नहीं है। लोग समझदार हैं।
Government is also keen because it's a matter concerning the security of the country. Secondly, concerning a dirty scam that has taken place during the earlier regime, and also no action was taken by the earlier regime. A lot of things are coming out, and even the judge yesterday has also come out. He has also made certain observations. All these things need to be discussed in Parliament, and government is willing to do it.
After the Milan Court of Appeals in Italy concluded that bribes were paid to clinch the deal, the CBI filed a case against Tyagi along with 13 others, including his cousins and European middlemen. The former air chief is alleged to have reduced flying ceiling of the helicopter from 6,000 meters to 4,500 meters to make Augusta-Westland helicopters eligible for the deal. Tyagi has denied all the allegations against him. The agency had already questioned Tyagi in 2013, but this session is the first after the Italian court order. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Moving on in the bulletin now, the Lok Sabha has passed the Compensatory Afforestation Fund Bill of 2015 unanimously. The bill will pave the way for unlocking of nearly 41,000 crore rupees earmarked for forest land, which is lying unspent for about 4 years. Now, 90% of the amount will go to the states and the remaining will be there with the central government. Union Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar said that as the money is going into the public account, the scrutiny can be done both at the central as well as the state level. Now, this bill is also important on account of the commitment made by India in the Paris climate meet and to achieve the target of increasing the forest cover to 33% from the current level of about 21 to 22%.
I'm very sure that this fund will give a tremendous boost in our afforestation movement. Our forest cover will dramatically increase, and it will result in achieving our target of 33% of tree cover, and most importantly 2.5 billion tons of carbon sequestration, as we have indicated in our INDCs. So that is where we are leading to, and I really thank all the parties in the Parliament that they have wholeheartedly supported and gave very positive suggestions.
Now to the other big story on Italian Marine, and the Permanent Court of Arbitration at The Hague has said that Italy will have to return its Marine Salvatore Garrone, held in India on murder charges, in case the court finds Indian jurisdiction over the case. Now, the UN court said that Italy and India shall cooperate, including in proceedings before the Supreme Court of India, to achieve a relaxation of the bail conditions of Sergeant Garrone. It also reiterated that Garrone will continue to remain under the authority of the Supreme Court of India, but may return to Italy during the present arbitration. This comes after Italy said that the tribunal had ruled in favor of Garrone by allowing him to leave for Italy. India, on the other hand, said that Italy was misrepresenting the case and said that the bail conditions will be set up by the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, Italy's defense minister has said that Tirone will return home in a few weeks, but there are bureaucratic procedures to go through. Earlier, the government on Tuesday informed Parliament that India holds jurisdiction over Italian Marine Salvatore Girone. The clarification comes a day after the UN Permanent Court of Arbitration asked India to allow the Marine to go back home pending a case over jurisdiction issues. The Union Minister Arun Jaitley told Lok Sabha that the tribunal had confirmed Italy's obligation to return Girone to India after its jurisdiction is established.
India will vigorously pursue the Italian Marines case before the UN Arbitration Court to ensure justice for victims. Information and Broadcasting Minister Arun Jaitley told Parliament on Tuesday, a day after a UN Arbitration Court asked New Delhi to release the Marines. Making a statement in Lok Sabha on behalf of External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj, Jaitley asserted that the issue of jurisdiction, which is at the heart of the case, is yet to be argued before the tribunal. He further clarified that even if the detained Italian Marine returns home as per the UN tribunal's orders, he would remain under the Supreme Court of India's jurisdiction.
We strongly believe that India has jurisdiction in this case, and this position has been and will be our unwavering stance. As a nation that respects international law, we will pursue our case vigorously before the arbitral tribunal. The government will fight for the rights of the victims of this incident and are confident in obtaining justice for them and their families.
Jaitley also informed members that the UN tribunal has left it to the Supreme Court to fix precise conditions of the Italian Marines' bail. The government will now approach the top court for direction.
The government will approach the Honorable Supreme Court for its directions in the matter. We see the tribunal's order not just as a recognition of India's consistent position and the key arguments, but also as an affirmation of the authority of the Indian Supreme Court.
Jaitley's response, however, failed to pacify opposition members who criticized the government for its handling of the case. Congress members, including Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, staged a walkout, alleging that the release of the Marine was a fixed match.
मोदी जी जब मिले थे इटालियन प्रधानमंत्री से तो उन्होंने कहा था कि कोई झूठ सही साक्ष्य गांधी परिवार के खिलाफ दीजिए तो हम आपके जो हमारे 2 भारतीय मछुआरों की हत्या हुई थी उसका जो आरोपी है इटालियन मैरीन उसको छोड़ देंगे। तो अगर इस तरह की बातें हुई हैं अगर तो ये बहुत ही चिंता का विषय है। देश के लोगों को सोचने का है कि सरकार किस स्तर तक गिर सकती है।
The 2 Italian Marines were arrested in February 2012 off the coast of Kerala for allegedly shooting down 2 fishermen, reportedly mistaking them for pirates. While one of them is already back home on health grounds, Italy has been seeking the return of the other Marine as well. The case has triggered a diplomatic row between India and Italy. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
In other news, the Standing Committee of the Ministry of Home Affairs pulled up the centre for the 2nd of January Pathankot terror attack. The panel claimed that had the centre been serious and the intelligence agencies functioned properly, the picture would have been entirely different. Here are all the details.
Were security agencies taken by surprise by attackers at the Pathankot airbase? The Standing Committee of Ministry of Home Affairs seems to think so. Panel Chairman Pradeep Bhattacharya said the agencies were ill-prepared to anticipate or counter the threat swiftly.
ये बहुत बड़ी ज़रूरी है कि हम इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसीज को हम प्रिपेयर्ड स्टेट में रखें और देश की नेशनल सिक्योरिटी में ये बहुत बड़ी कदम होते हैं.
Standing panel members said they had a long interaction with officers at the base. According to them, the information came on the morning after the attack, and that too not from Punjab but from the Delhi Air Force.
सांसदों की संसदीय समिति की अनुशंसाएं गंभीर हैं और भारत सरकार को इससे सबक लेना चाहिए. उनके द्वारा की गई आलोचना शर्मनाक है.
The government said it will take the report seriously and take appropriate steps. Panel members claimed there are very unsafe conditions at the Pathankot airbase.
Serious note of the Parliamentary Standing Committee's recommendations, and we will ensure that all those concerns are being addressed properly.
The committee said it was unable to understand how the terrorists reached the Pathankot airbase despite terror alerts being sounded well in advance.
बात तो दिखी थी कि जिस तरीके से पुख्ता इंतजाम होने थे वो शायद नहीं थे, और अगर स्टैंडिंग कमेटी ने, स्थायी समिति ने उसमें गलतियां निकाली हैं तो ये अच्छी बात है। इससे हमारे आगे जो हमारी डिफेंस की जो या रक्षा मंत्रालय की जितनी भी स्थापित जगह हैं उनको और सुरक्षित करने में मदद मिलेगी।
India has said the Pathankot airbase was attacked by heavily armed Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists. 4 terrorists and 3 security forces personnel were killed in the operation. A 5-member Pakistani joint investigation team visited India in March to collect physical evidences. But so far, Pakistan has not agreed to allow a reciprocal visit by India to probe the attack. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now an update on the Uttarakhand political crisis, and the Supreme Court will continue its hearing on the case today. The Apex Court has given time to the centre till today to respond on whether a floor test in the State Assembly under the court's observation is feasible. Now, during the brief hearing on Tuesday, the bench asked the Attorney General to take instruction and apprise it about the feasibility of holding the floor test. The Apex Court was hearing the centre's appeal against the Uttarakhand High Court verdict revoking President's rule in the state. Now, the centre introduced President's rule on 27th of March, one day before Chief Minister Harish Rawat was to take a trust vote in the Assembly. The Uttarakhand High Court pulled up centre for its action and revoked the President's rule before Supreme Court stayed its order and ordered status quo.
चूंकि हम बहुमत में हैं, इसलिए डर से मोदी सरकार के उनका पाप खुल के आ जाएगा, इसलिए फ्लोर टेस्ट टाल रही है।
अब सवाल यह है कि फ्लोर टेस्ट में उन विधायकों का क्या होगा जिनकी सदस्यता माननीय स्पीकर साहब ने निरस्त कर दी है। जो भी होगा ठीक ही होगा। सुप्रीम कोर्ट कोई बात कहती है तो सोच समझ के कहती है, तो उनका जो निर्णय आएगा वो सिरोधार्य होगा।
And in Breakfast News, we'll take a very short break. We'll be back with more news. Stay tuned.
How would you really tell the people that you're different from AIADMK?
We have delivered. It's there for people to see.
When you defend DMK so vociferously, the same party which you left, doesn't that put you in a very awkward situation?
Nowhere I have spoken a word against Stalin. Nowhere Stalin has spoken a word against me.
When you go down on the ground and talk to the common people, the only word on their lips is Amma and her welfare schemes.
You know, you turn right, you turn left, you look up, you look down, you see only Amma, Amma, Amma.
Watch To The Point with Congress spokesperson and Tamil film actress Khushbu only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. News from the national capital, and the Delhi government has moved the Supreme Court seeking a phased implementation of the ban on diesel taxis. The government's move came on a day when the protesting taxi drivers created massive traffic jams at various places in Delhi, creating a nightmare for the commuters.
For the second day in a row, massive traffic jams on Delhi's roads. Vehicles crawled while commuters remained stuck in the heat. Thousands of diesel taxi drivers and their owners kept up their protest against the Supreme Court's ban on diesel taxis in the NCR region.
देखिए, हम किसी को परेशान करना नहीं चाहते, लेकिन जब ड्राइवरों की रोजी रोटी पे बात आएगी, जब किसी के पेट पे लात लगेगी, तो ऑब्वियसली वो ऐसा हरकत करेगा।
After the huge outcry, the Delhi government moved the Supreme Court on Tuesday, seeking time to phase out diesel taxis. The Apex Court told the government to submit a detailed plan. The centre also urged the Apex Court to reconsider the ban.
कल हमारी मीटिंग हुई, नितिन गडकरी जी, गीते और मैं, क्योंकि हम तीनों मंत्रालय सुप्रीम कोर्ट में उस केस में एफिडेविट दिए हैं, तो डीजल टैक्सी को अचानक बंद करने से तो केवल हालात बिगड़ती है, सुधरती नहीं है।
Nearly 30,000 vehicles were forced to go off the roads after the Supreme Court banned diesel-run taxis from the 1st of May. The ban comes in the wake of pollution control measures in the city that saw 2 phases of the odd-even scheme and a ban on the registration of any new diesel cars above the capacity of 2,000 cc. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
More news from the national capital, and providing major relief to lakhs of school children from the tormenting heat, Delhi government has ordered all schools in the city to advance their summer vacations to 11th of May. Now, the Education Department issued the order to this effect to all private and government-run as well as those schools which fall under the municipal bodies to observe the mandatory summer vacations. It said the decision has been taken in view of the searing heat and also the predictions of temperatures rising further. The national capital this week witnessed the hottest day of the season with the mercury soaring to 44 degrees Celsius, 5 notches above the season's average. While the summer vacations in government-run schools begin from 10th of May every year, private schools have varied schedules, and the duration of the summer vacation is around 1.5 months. There are over 3,500 private schools, 1,150 government-run schools, and over 2,500 schools run by various civic bodies in the city. Meanwhile, the searing heat continues in many states across the country, with deaths due to sunstroke being reported from Kerala as well as Odisha. But amidst the rising temperatures comes the news of rain in many parts of the country, bringing in much-needed relief. Thunderstorms followed by sharp showers lashed several parts of Himachal Pradesh. Temperature dipped drastically in Shimla on Tuesday after a fresh spell of rain, after recording 29.2 degrees Celsius, marking the hottest day.
शिमला का मौसम बहुत सबसे ज़्यादा हॉटेस्ट था, तो आज बारिश की वजह से बेशक भीग रहे हैं, पर बहुत अच्छा मौसम हो गया है। एकदम बढ़िया है, एकदम मस्त है, बारिश चालू है, बहुत दूर से आए मुंबई से, हाँ अच्छा लग रहा है।
Meteorological Department had predicted rainfall for the next 2-3 days in some parts of Himachal Pradesh. Kalpa received mild showers, while Kufri recorded 8 millimeters, Shimla 4 millimeters, and Sundarnagar 3 millimeters of rain.
शिमला में बारिश हुई है, हिल स्टॉर्म भी हल्का हुआ है, जिससे तापमान में भी काफ़ी गिरावट हुई है। बाकी भी हिमाचल के और जो इलाके हैं वहाँ पे भी बारिश हुई है, हल्की बारिश है। ये जो बारिश है अगले 2-3 दिन लगातार रहेगी। कल जो कि हॉटेस्ट दिन इस जो सीज़न का सबसे गर्म दिन सभी जगह रिकॉर्ड किया गया, तो आज ये कह सकते हैं कि काफ़ी टेम्परेचर में गिरावट आई है। दोबारा से जो सर्दी वाला जो माहौल शिमला और जो पहाड़ी इलाकों में वो रहेगा अगले 2-3 दिन।
Mild showers accompanied by dust storms were also reported in parts of Rajasthan, West Bengal, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Hyderabad, Jaipur and West Bengal's Haldia witnessed mild showers on Tuesday.
It's entirely different weather over here because we are coming from more than a 40 degree in Bharuch, and we just arrived before a couple of days back and we found that it's rainy with snow. I mean, it's really a very nice experience to be here in Shimla.
Met Department's prediction comes as a relief to several parts of India. Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, NCR and western parts of Uttar Pradesh also saw change in weather conditions, which gave slight relief from scorching heat in the month of May. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. And now an update on Maharashtra drought. And the Bombay High Court asked Maharashtra government to inform what steps it had taken to tackle the drought situation in May and June. Now, while hearing a PIL filed by Lok Satta movement, the bench also asked the state government to explain why it had not declared a drought in the state so far. Now, Lok Satta movement had filed an PIL to shift all the IPL matches out of Maharashtra due to water scarcity. Maharashtra government is expected to file a reply on 5th of May. Child rights activist and Nobel Peace Prize laureate Kailash Satyarthi has now urged Prime Minister Narendra Modi to declare drought as a national emergency. Satyarthi said that at least 10 states are reeling under harsh drought and over 163 million children are affected due to it. Meanwhile, water is set to get scarcer over May and June as they are the hottest months, though many regions have already registered temperatures above 40 degrees Celsius, whereas the Jaisalmer recorded 50 degrees Celsius.
Declare drought as a national emergency immediately. Secondly, assess and analyze the effect of drought on children and ensure that no child in the drought-affected areas is forced into child labor, bonded labor, child marriage, or is trafficked or compelled to leave school.
News coming in from Gujarat, where Lalaji Patel, the head of the Sardar Patel group, was detained by the police last night in connection with the violence during the Patidar community agitation last month. Patel was detained by the local crime branch of Mehsana. The SPG group had organized a jail bharo protest last month, which had turned violent in Mehsana town. Lalji had sustained head injuries in the protest, and he at that time had claimed that he was hit in police baton charge. However, he admitted to Lions Hospital of Mehsana, from where the police detained him. Now, police had used tear gas and baton charged a mob of Patel community members on 17th of April, when their protest turned violent after some members in the group indulged in stone pelting. Police had later registered a case of attempt to murder and rioting against Lalji and 37 others. Lalji's SPG and Hardik Patel floated Patidar Anmat Andolan Samiti are leading Pathankot agitation in the state of Gujarat. Moving on to some election news, and the Election Commission on Tuesday took stock of the preparedness for the 16th of May Assembly elections in Tamil Nadu and expressed dissatisfaction over it. The Election Commission team met with the officials of various districts in the city and discussed the poll preparations. A total of 66,000 polling booths have reportedly been set up, and a total of 1.44 lakh EVMs will be used during the elections. Meanwhile, several companies of the paramilitary forces have started arriving in the city for election security. The forces will be deployed on election security in various parts of the state. Police personnel from Maharashtra have also arrived in the city for their election duty. The Election Commission has initiated several steps for ensuring free and fair polls. Recently, top police officials, including a city police commissioner T.K. Rajendran, was also replaced by Ashutosh Shukla.
We are quite satisfied with the arrangements made here so far, and we would be very closely monitoring the entire electoral preparation. We have asked the entire election machinery to galvanize more and more visits to the vulnerable polling stations.
6 कमी नहीं है, मतलब 600 आदमी तो होगा। इस कांजीपुरम डिस्ट्रिक्ट में सबसे बढ़िया इलेक्शन करने के लिए हम आया है, हम वो अच्छी तरह निभाएंगे और आगे भी अच्छा काम हमारे से आपको मिलेगा।
And on to our top international focus, and U.S. Republican candidate Senator Ted Cruz of Texas has suspended his campaign to be the GOP presidential candidate, potentially ending any real battle for the party's nomination. Now, the developments came after Donald Trump won the Indiana primary decisively. As a result, Trump is now the presumptive Republican presidential nominee, though he has not formally secured the 1,237 delegates that he needs to win the nomination. He's just falling short of 196 delegates now. Cruz tried everything to pull off a last-ditch win in Indiana, including forging a pact with John Kasich to keep Trump from reaching the number of delegates he needs, but none of those moves worked. Cruz was the only candidate to notch multiple state victories against the real estate mogul, but the glow of those victories had faded after Trump won a resounding series of 7 straight wins. Meanwhile, the Democratic race, Bernie Sanders pulled off a shock victory in Indiana. This is a last-minute hurdle in front of Hillary Clinton's march towards the Democratic Party nomination. His win came despite opinion polls' predictions.
Last recession, in 2009.
News from the Middle East, and amid efforts to restore peace in Syria, the city of Aleppo continues to be at the receiving end of relentless bombardment by the government forces and retaliatory shelling by rebels. At least 3 women are killed and 15 more were wounded after insurgent rockets hit a hospital in Aleppo on Tuesday. It was the 6th attack affecting a medical facility in nearly 2 weeks of fierce fighting that has left more than 250 people dead and the city on the brink of a humanitarian catastrophe. Amid the raging violence, diplomatic efforts have intensified on restoring a partial truce that was agreed upon in the month of February. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry warned Syrian President Bashar al-Assad that seeking military gains will not end the civil war. Earlier, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov held talks with the UN envoy Staffan de Mistura in Moscow and said a unilateral truce declared by the Syrian military could be extended to Aleppo in the next few hours. He said Russia was working with the UN and US to include Aleppo in the regime of calm that has covered Damascus and Latakia since Saturday.
И мы призываем всех наших партнеров, прежде всего Соединенные Штаты, как сопредседателей в международной группе поддержки Сирии, использовать свое влияние на членов возглавляемой ими коалиции для того, чтобы подобные ультиматумы
Our hope is that they're able to come to an agreement and that we can move forward on the agreement. If that doesn't happen in the next hours, I'm still confident that we will find a way to be able to work through. If it isn't in the next hours, as I say, it'll be in the next day or so.
Well, that's all in this edition of Breakfast News. Thanks so much for your time.